Welcome back to Spincast, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keegan, or Keegabyte on the internet. I am joined today by Hofstra Esports, MANNI, DOAN, Jason Valverde, and Brandon GIANG. How are you doing today, guys?
I'm doing pretty well, yeah. We're all doing pretty well.
Awesome. Good to hear. So if you would please go down the line, introduce yourselves, and tell us a little bit about how you got into esports in the first place. We'll start with MANNI.
Okay. So my name's Manny. I've been playing leagues since season 1, and so I've always been really interested in video games, but I never considered the thought about going into esports until I got to college. Because I became really good friends with the president of our club, and then they were like, "Hey, we have a team. They're looking for team people." And then I joined, and we became really good friends. And ever since, I haven't looked back.
Good. How about you? How about on your side, Jason?
Yeah, so I have been in the Rocket League community since Rocket League dropped, and it was free on the PS Store on PlayStation. And it started off really recreationally, and when I first started, I could only play on weekends because of my parents. But then as I got better and they loosened up a little more, I found more time to play. And my first time doing Rocket League Esports was playing qualifiers for season 3. And then the rest is history. I kept on doing it every season. I found recreational leagues to do on the side to get better, and now I'm here competing at the college level.
My man with that Rocket League scene. How about you, Brandon?
So I've been playing League since season 4, and then Rainbow since the first year it came out. But so a large majority of my life I've been swimming. So once I got into college, I kind of lost that. But I was able to find Collegiate Esports, and I was actually able to help my friend start the Rainbow Six team. So, but other than that, it's mostly been me and my friends going into 5 stacks, just going into rank. So that's that.
All right. Well, so tell me a little bit about the esports program at Hofstra. So what kind of games do you have? How many teams, et cetera? Do you guys have under teams? And what are your practice schedules like?
I could take it at least for the general aspect. So we have a Rocket League team, we have Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, League of Legends, and then a Smash team sort of that goes to local competitions and stuff.
Can't really have a team in Smash.
Yeah, it's like a Smash team. It's really just a compilation of our best players. But as far as practice schedules go and stuff, I don't really know what it's like for the other teams, but for Rocket League, we try our best to do scrims sporadically, but we always try and have one Tuesday and Thursday nights. And then otherwise we just try and find tournaments and compete in those, save our replays, and do replay analysis on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay. How about, and for the League of Legends team, Manny, what do they do?
So we basically do the same thing as the Rocket League team. Tuesdays and Thursdays at night we have our scrims, and then sometimes we have extra scrims throughout the week depending on the team we're up against, and every Saturday we have our weekly tournament as well.
Right. And do you guys participate in CLOL, or do you guys do a different just general
we
tournaments?
compete in CLOL.
Okay.
The Riot sponsored league.
Mm-hmm. And Brandon, you're the League of Legends chair. How exactly do you guys find competition? CLOL, I know, is very well organized. So do you guys do anything else on the side, or do you just primarily focus on CLOL?
The main focus is CLOL, but we do Collegiate Star League too on the side, just as kind of preseason to get warmed up and ready for CLOL.
Okay.
We also do weekly tournaments to around locally, so during the school year.
Right.
And I assume those weekly tournaments are also produced, hosted, and casted by the students there as well.
So some of the tournaments are actually at our local Microsoft store. So we go out and we go as our team, and we just face whatever teams there are, whether it be other colleges in the area or just other people 5 stacked coming to the mall wanting to play some tournaments.
Well, I mean, hey, that's great as long as you guys can get people in there, right? Enjoying League of Legends esports and seeing what collegiate esports athletes can do, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Okay, so you guys are a club at Hofstra, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Now there's been a lot of talk about whether it's better to have a club esport or a varsity esport. I know the consensus is varsity esport, but the other one has some advantages to it. There's a lot more freedom for players. There's a lot more freedom to have a community atmosphere rather than a rigorous student athlete atmosphere. So tell me about how at the club, how do you guys maintain not necessarily order, but maintain the idea of a healthy work-life balance for students?
Well, it's for me, I see the club as you get what you put in. So if you want to go the extra mile and say play solo queue and improve your macro and micro, you can do that. But you can also jump in and kind of like have fun. Because I know, especially for the Rainbow team, because we just made our team this season. So we finished our first season of our CEA league this season, and we're hopping into summer league to get some more practice. But um, especially because we're a new team, we really emphasize the fact that we're not aiming. Well, the end goal is to aim for the top spot, but for now, it's more so just getting our feet in the water, getting into the games, and learning how each other plays. So we know that first and foremost we're students, and so our workload does come first. So we practice around our free time. So we'll say, hey, like I have this coming up, or like I have a test, so I can't play this day. So
Okay. Well, that's a very healthy way to approach it, is that, you get what you get. Like you said, you get what you put in. If you want to add more time to it, you can. If you don't, if you need to kind of take time to study and work on your schoolwork, that's perfectly fine too. In fact, I would expect that's encouraged.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a common thing at Hofstra is that you're like a student first, and
Mhm.
then everything else comes after.
And that's the way it should be, right? That way esports is a benefit rather than a detriment to your experience at the college level. Now, have you guys worked on getting towards that varsity yet, or are you guys just kind of sticking as a club for right now?
I think we're in this awkward middle ground where we do want that varsity because we do want to foster this idea of if you do want to take this esports and you want to take it to the next level, we want to be there to help you do that. But we also want to be there to support people who just wants to gather around and stack TFTs and play for fun, or go all like supports in mid for
Mhm.
regular ranked or draft games. So we would like to get to the varsity level, but for now we're playing our cards and looking at what people do and don't enjoy.
Mhm. Okay. So then it's one of those. It's like if you go to the varsity level, you have to kind of trade off all the benefits that come with a club atmosphere. So that's perfectly understandable as to why you wouldn't want to go into the varsity level. But I would expect, like you said, it allows students to move up into college from a high school sphere, as well as potential scholarships in the future, and more access to recruiting. Do you guys do any recruiting as a club, by the way?
No, it's something that we've tried looking into, and I'm trying to actively look into, trying to do like scouting, just, but like as we can't do it really under the club name. It's just you have to go out yourself and be an advocate for it, you
Hmm.
know, and that's part of the reason why I want to push us to that like varsity level too, because this is the Rocket League team's first season as well. And we haven't had bad finishes, but I know that we can do better. And I'd love to like get some up and comers onto the team and maybe like actually make a run for CRL, if anything.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
a lot of it, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
A lot of it is word of mouth too. I know my friend who is a previous league chair, would go into his classes, open the door, and be like, "Hey, anyone play League?" And if he got people that would say yes, he would
Probably
introduce them
half
to
the
the club.
classroom raises their hand.
Yeah. And the other classmates are like, "Oh, kind of play," but it's a lot of word of mouth and a lot of just, "Hey, like, look at what we're offering and like what we can do." So.
Mhm. So, and that's what it kind of has to be with a club, right? Is it kind of has to be word of mouth. You don't really have the resources to go out and sign up on recruiting sites as an administrator, being like, hey, we're looking to recruit such and such players. Here's what we offer. Here are X scholarships that we have available. Come check us out. And you guys don't have access to that. But getting through that word of mouth and just encouraging people to come to Hofstra, I think will make a much bigger difference than you might expect. You guys might see some really quality talent start showing up at Hofstra, and then getting in contact with you, sending you an email. Hey, you're the esports club president, right? Or League of Legends chair, right? And that happens a lot more frequently than you'd think. Now, how long have you guys been a club, like official club at Hofstra?
When was it? I think its inception was early. It might have been Melee time.
Yeah.
It was like
boy.
it might have started like back in Melee, but back then it was like really like a Smash Bros club.
So we're
and
talking like 2006.
yeah, like it was
Oh
like it
my.
was like a Smash Bros club. And then as like more games started to come out and the club got better recognition, then it turned into Hofstra Esports, I think like circa 2012 to 2014.
That actually makes you one of the oldest esports clubs in the country.
No
I
way.
mean, whoa.
Yeah,
um,
that actually makes you one of the oldest esports clubs in the country. As far as I know, the oldest esports club, as it's named, I know you guys started as a Smash club, but
Mhm.
not counting that, I know the oldest one was started in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that esports is still relatively new.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So how much pushback have you had from faculty with this club? Have they been like really kind of like asking you to fulfill any like certain requirements, or have they been like really discouraging this club as a whole? Because I know that that's a huge problem around the country right now for even clubs to exist at the collegiate level.
No, I would actually say we get a lot of support from faculties from all departments. Like whether it's from like our like film, radio, they see it as an opportunity for, different ways for students to get involved with
Mm.
broadcasting and everything. Um, and we also have like really good support from admins as well, which is kind of surprising, but
Yeah.
hey, I'm not complaining. Yeah.
I mean,
They
that's
look, yeah. They look forward to the future of our club, basically. They believe in a future for our club.
just like that's the way it should be, right? They
Mhm.
should be like, if the students want it, we're happy to oblige. But there's so many that don't do that. Brandon, you had something to say?
Yeah, it's funny enough because actually I've heard that some of the faculty actually do sometimes watch some of our streams. So that's pretty cool to know that some, maybe even your professor may be watching you like play Smash or play Rainbow. So it's really weird, but really humbling.
I suspect that number has potentially increased given the most recent global catastrophe. How has that affected you guys?
It was really weird because when school first let out, Hofstra was initially like club sports are canceled, no more, right? And we're under the branch of club sports, so we were like, hold on a second, we don't have to touch each other.
Right.
I can talk to my teammates and play my game online, so I don't need to be in contact with them. And then they were like, well, okay. So then like maybe a few weeks after, and we like really pushed hard for it, they actually let us continue, so we're the only club sport still competing as Hofstra.
Mhm.
So that's like I think that's actually been really good for us.
Yeah, that might actually be a huge boon for your numbers, right? Because it's not like they have anything else to watch. Collegiate sports are all canceled, so it's like, go watch the esports club play. So that's what we've been seeing a lot of, actually, is that real boost in viewership of the esports clubs during this time.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
And particularly because like because we're pushing to like try and maybe turn ourselves into a varsity program, this is huge too, because like we are pushing ourselves out into the spotlight by being the only club sport still going, and
Right.
it gives us good publicity, and it lets the university know like, hey, stop paying attention to those other sports because they literally can't play. It's us now,
Mhm.
and it's definitely good publicity for us.
Well, yeah.
However, oh,
Go ahead,
sorry.
Brandon. No, you're good.
On the downside, however, so some people don't like. I know that like at school we were spoiled to have great internet. So like some people may not
Mhm.
have like the right hardware they need to play, or like stuff like that. So that's been a downside to being at home. But other than that, I think it's been fairly the same, but maybe so even better, just because there's a lot more time to allocate doing other things or to even play. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
Now,
but
do you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
oh
Maddie.
yeah, like a lot of the leagues got canceled though. So like Collegiate LOL
Oh,
got canceled.
oh,
So
why? Ooh.
yeah, I know. So
yeah.
because like there's that problem with internet, not everyone gets good internet. And so that's been kind of rough because we were looking forward to that season, but there's other tournaments still going on and
Mhm. Yeah, the tournament space for League of Legends isn't nearly as large as some of the other ones, but like it's still there. Like you still have a community scene in League. It's nothing like Rocket League where there's like 150 weekly tournaments going on every single week or sometimes every single night. Uh, but League of Legends, it's still there, and that's one of the great things about again esports and collegiate esports in general is that we have that opportunity to branch out in how we compete in things. Now, getting into a little bit more of the nitty gritty here, I'm going to say 4 letters to you, and you're going to understand exactly what I mean. NCAA. So there's been a ton of talk about the NCAA getting into esports, and whether that's a positive, negative, doesn't matter, or even if they will or not. Now, do you think that the NCAA needs to step into esports, or do you think that the organizations that are already involved in unifying the collegiate space of esports, like NACE, Collegiate Star, TESPA, et cetera, the list goes on, do you think they're doing a good enough job of it, or do you think that we don't really even need a governing body and that we should leave it up to like conferences, individual organizers, stuff like that?
So our
Oh,
school is a TESPA chapter, and then we also compete in the NCAA for sports. And so basically what I think is that even if the NCAA does step in, it gives us like more legitimacy, right?
Hmm.
But I was more worried about like how they would handle it because esports is so different from all the other sports. So I think that maybe if they partnered up with, a different collegiate organization that already knows what to do, that already knows like everything in place, that
Hmm.
might be like a possible way for NCAA to get into esports, but also maintain that like organization structure that's already in place.
yeah. Speaking on that, I think it'd be really cool to see NCAA step in. Only because so I speak on this at the Rainbow Six Siege setting, because
You guys
I
have
know,
4 different leagues.
yeah, it was
And I
crazy
know the
jumping
owners of
in.
3 of them.
Yeah, like me and my friend, so the president of the club, my friend who started the team, and I were sitting down to like look at what league to join, because we were thinking about doing one league, and then an owner of another one who swapped over messaged us and was like, "Hey, we're starting this new league." And so it's kind of rough because Ubisoft, unlike League of Legends where Riot hosts their own league, like Ubisoft doesn't actually host their own collegiate league, which I would love to see happen. But for now, we're stuck doing other leagues hosted by players and people of the community, which isn't bad, but it would just be nice to see UB step up and notice the collegiate scene that is going on. However, going back to NCAA, I think it'd be cool to, especially for starting clubs, like getting our feet wet into esports, to have NCAA be like, okay, well, here's the leagues you guys can join, and like here's all the resources, rather than like us scrambling and be like, oh, which one do we do?
Mm-hmm. And that's something that's been pointed out a bunch about the NCAA getting involved with esports. Is it allows for more centralization, and it allows for more legitimacy as well. Some of the other counterpoints, though, have been about amateurism. You know, because the NCAA, you know, they say that you can't pay players. Players can't get paid for their sport, and the question becomes, it's like, well, what if they win money in a tournament? Are they still amateur? What if they stream on the side, you know, making $1,000 a month on the side? Are they still amateur? And those are some of those questions that I feel on my side need to be answered before the NCAA gets in. But it would be really nice to see a body like the NCAA come in and really lend some legitimacy to the esports collegiate scene. That would start to remove some of that stigma that we were talking about. Now, I have one last question for you guys, because we're about to get to that point, and we kind of need to wrap it up here. I have one last question for you guys, and I do want all of you to answer this. If you were to give any advice to a middle or high school student who's really passionate about esports and who really wants to follow their passions into college and potentially beyond, how would you suggest to them to go about that? And how do you suggest that they defend it to those who might not approve of it in their life, like potentially teachers, parents, faculty, peers, etc.? Let's start with Manny on that one.
Okay. um, so I guess my message would be more catered to like women who are looking to go into esports, because we already have that stigma against us as well. And I personally got a lot of pushback from my parents. My parents weren't very supportive of, you know, this endeavor. But if you do your research, that's like the main thing, I think. Look everything up, see how big that industry is. Look into the different programs at your school. How do they treat women there, you know? And then go for like you shouldn't choose your school solely because of esports, unless you're like looking to go into like full time. But you know, look for a community that you feel welcome in and that you feel like you can grow and develop there as well. That's the main thing. And then when you get all that information, you know, you can do like a little presentation for your parents. That's what I did. And then once they see like how much work and effort you put into it, and you know, make promises not to like skip on your grades and stuff, then in general they tend to be more open to that kind of to like something they're not familiar with. Like the more information they know, the more comfortable they're with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Jason?
Advice I would give would be to just practice. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory also, but sometimes like players really can lose that drive when their loved ones aren't supporting them, and it kind of seems like a lost hope. When I first started, when I was like trying to compete in qualifiers and things like that, I got a lot of pushback from my parents because it was just a video game and it was a waste of time. And I would tell them like, oh yeah, I can't go to, you know, my cousin's house today because I have a tournament. And they would give me a lot of pushback for it. And then they'd leave the house angry, but I'd end up staying home and practicing. And, you know, trying to convince them like esports is a real thing. It's $1 billion industry. Let me do it. It was really hard. And the first time my parents came around was when I asked for my birthday for my dad to take me to DC to see RLCS Season 4. And he brought me there, and he was like in this stadium of people and like all watching on the big screen, and he was like, whoa, like this is the real deal. And I was like, yeah, can I compete now? And he was like, we'll talk about it when we get home. But you know, like just showing them how passionate you are really does make a difference, because like most parents are going to want to support their kid in whatever they do, you know, whether it's going out and like writing or esports or whatever it is. Like most parents are going to support your kids, and really just showing them how important esports is to you and how much of a good catalyst it has been in your life. will really make the difference.
And last but not least, how about for you, Brandon?
I would just say to be open. Like, don't let anything stop you, mainly what other people think. Because, like, when I first joining a club, especially coming out of, like, middle school and even high school, like, you have this thing where you're thinking about, like, oh, what'll people think about me? But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what people think about you. It's how you view yourself. And to speak on the point of unapproving people, you just have to know, especially going into college, that unless you're really dedicated into doing this full time, that you should worry about your studies, because at the end of the day, you go to college to get your degree. But if you're there and you can foster this esports career, that's great. But at the end of the day, you're going for your degree. But also, another point is to just get involved, because I know I didn't really get involved with the club until this year, and I regret not joining sooner. I've met probably the best people like I've ever known, and I've made a lot of good connections, and it's different from just gathering around playing with your friends. You're there with your teammates, and most importantly, just have fun. Like, there's games where you lose a map 6-5, but at the end of the day, you just got to brush it off and really keep going. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on Spincast today. That is unfortunately all that we have time for today. We got to wrap it up eventually. So if you would please tell us where we can find you at Hofstra Esports.
You can find our Twitter at Hofstra Esports, run by our PR chair. You can also find us on Instagram at Hofstra Esports as well. And we also have a Discord server, which you can find on our Facebook page. That is also under, you guessed it, Hofstra Esports.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on, being on Spincast today. And thank you all very much for coming out and watching. Just remember, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay plugged in.